Brick Building Babe here, and today we are going to talk about a retiring set supposedly in 2025, and we're going to do a whole analysis on its potential for investment. So I am a Lego collector, a Lego investor, and a reseller, and I'm just getting into this business, and I want to go through and provide some insights and my thoughts based on all of the videos that I've listened to and other YouTubers and just my experience on where I think sets are going to go in the future, how they're going to perform. I've only been into Lego for a few years now, so I have really dove in deep in the last year or two. And I have to say at the beginning of this video, this is not financial advice, but I really hope that you find some value and entertainment in the analysis that I'm going to show you. So I went to Brick Fanatics. They have a retiring list supposedly in 2025, and one of the first things we are going to look at is the Darth Vader helmet. So of course, a lot of people talk about the Star Wars helmet collection as being good investments because everybody knows the holy grail for the TIE fighter pilot that retailed for 60, 70, 80, somewhere in that range, and it now goes for about $300 in a sealed set. So do I think any set's going to do like that? My opinion, no. That's such a large increase, and because of the popularity of these sets, people now invest in them, so the supply is way up. But I do want to talk about Darth Vader. It's on that list. It is a little fun. I actually don't have any for investing right now. I only have one in my collection, but part of the reason that I'm doing this analysis on potentially retiring sets is that we can keep our eyes out for any good sales coming throughout 2025. So let's take a look at the Darth Vader helmet. So the Darth Vader helmet is, of course, a bust of Darth Vader with a nice printed Darth Vader tile in the front. It has great artwork, and it is overall just a really nice display set. And of course, it's a very iconic Darth Vader character. It retails for $80 right now, but I did find out that I think when it first came out, it retailed for $70. So that was something I learned in my review of looking through the history of Darth Vader. So this set is marketed as an 18 plus set. It is primarily for collectors. It doesn't really have any playability, but you know, with it being such an iconic character, being on the dark side, which I think tends to do better in Lego Star Wars than the light side, it definitely has potential to be a good set. If we look at the reviews, it has a 4.7 on Lego.com, which is not bad, and 93 would recommend it. So only 5 reviews are 1 stars. The vast majority are 5 stars. So what we're going to look at next is Keepa. So Keepa is a platform that tracks prices of Lego sets. Well, if anything, I guess, on Amazon, but I use it for Lego sets. I only have the free version to show you because I plan to buy the full version, but I'm not allowed to share that when I buy it. So I will just be showing you the insights that you can currently access for free on Keepa.com. So we're looking at the full Keepa chart. It has some images on the right. You can look up the individual product. And if we look here, it has a 4.9 rating as opposed to 4.7. So definitely better with 11,000 reviews. That's pretty solid to have that. But this is where I was interested to see this list price. So if we highlight this brown dot, it highlights on the graph the list price. The suggested retail price from April 21st to August, April 21st, April 2021 to August 2022, the retail price was 70, and then it got a bump to 80. So that's something I didn't know. So that is something certainly to keep in mind. If we look at the early days, everything was at about retail until we hit the holiday season, which it got as low as 55 and kind of went in and out of that all year. But then when it jumped back up to the list price of $79. We rarely hit that $79 price point. So there was a section here that was at $79 and then sporadically throughout the year. So something to keep in mind is that most people that are interested in this set, at least on Amazon, are not getting it close to the suggested $80 retail that is on Lego.com. Have people paid $80? Absolutely. But that's not really what we're interested in. So the next part to look at is the availability when it comes to Lego sets that Amazon themselves has. So what we see in the orange is when Amazon had it in stock and what their price was. So you can see that throughout most of its lifetime, it's primarily been in stock. What I think we can be interested in is the section where we see this significant bump. So I'm going to zoom in here. And here, if we look again on Amazon, we can see that it was in and out of stock. I'm not exactly sure why it's so choppy in there, but what I really want to highlight is the buy box. So if we look on Amazon, that's not Amazon. If we look at Amazon, over here is the buy box where you actually press add to cart. And sometimes you will not see a buy box here. That doesn't mean it's not available, but this is where Amazon really is going to push the item to buyers. So here you can see who it ships from and who it is sold by. So when we're referring on the Keep a chart to the Amazon, we are referring to when this says Amazon and Amazon, that's the price they list. However, sometimes Amazon will have something in stock and won't actually have the buy box. So what's really interesting is if we zoom in into here, when we see this is out of stock for a short time on January, the buy box was showing $110. And that's something that's really interesting. This didn't happen all that much. It was a short period in 2023 where we had this bump. But this does give a little bit of hope that maybe there's some demand for this. So going back into Amazon as well, something I want to point out is that there are 10,000 plus bought in the last month. That's very good. What's interesting is if we go down to the product information, usually there's a ranking for toys and then buildable toys, and something that sold 10,000 plus in the last month, I would imagine it to have an Amazon bestsellers ranking, but it doesn't. So if you guys are watching this and have any idea of why that might be, or if you truly believe that if it doesn't have a bestseller ranking, it's not in the top however many, I'm not sure, but I don't believe that. I don't know about that, but I have seen a couple sets that I've researched don't have that. Anyway, going back to this Keepa, a very important thing to notice, as I mentioned, is the average typically on Amazon through the lifetime of this helmet has pretty much been hovering around the $70 mark. You can see there was a very large section of it being $64 approximately, and it's kind of come back up after the holiday season, actually back to $80, which is very interesting. So this is showing us that something to consider in the future is many people are expecting during regular purchasing period to pay around $70 and maybe even less. Very few are paying that $80 mark. Yes, when they look it up, they'll see it retired at $80. But many people who look at a set, especially like a year down the line, typically have known about the set and just maybe didn't have the money or didn't have the interest and then had FOMO, something like that. So I think it's just important. Another thing to consider is anybody else looking to resell in the future. If they tried to buy it on Amazon, there was no significant Black Friday sale on Amazon. I don't recall if there was any other Black Friday sales on the Darth Vader helmet. Because it wasn't retiring, it wasn't something I spent a lot of time into thinking, but if you know of a great Black Friday sale for this, definitely let me know in the comments. So another thing we're going to look at is Brickset. So Brickset tells you, according to all the users on Brickset, this is primarily an AFOL adult fan of Lego group, and you can put all of your uh, basically your metrics, all of your sets into like a collection. You can put reviews, and here we have a rating of 4.2, so slightly less than Lego.com, but not as high as Amazon. Again, take that with what you will, but there is significantly high demand to some extent because there's 16,000 members that have this set, but only 2,000 want it. So something to think about there is a lot of people who want the set have already gotten the set. So the people you're targeting aren't the current fans of Lego. You're primarily looking at those that haven't collected or are just getting into the helmets, considering there's rumors and potential leaks of new helmets that are coming this year. I've heard potentially a Jango Fett. I've heard potentially of Ahsoka. So if those come out, that definitely changes things. Because those people that get into it later because of those characters may look back and say, I needed Darth Vader. And I think that's one of the things that is most appealing to this is truly that collectability, because it's Darth Vader. I mean, everybody and their mother knows Darth Vader, even if you're not a Star Wars fan. It's just such an iconic character. And overall, it's a pretty good model. I built one myself. I am missing a piece, and I tried to replace it as best I could. But I picked it up used, I want to say, for like $25-$30. So it was a really good deal at the time. So the last thing I want to look at is Bricklink. So this is a very exclusive, actually there's two more things to look at, but we want to look at Bricklink. It's a very exclusive, not exclusive, but the platform is primarily directed towards serious Lego builders and buyers, primarily adults. And the market on Bricklink is definitely different than the market on Amazon or on eBay, but it is interesting to take a look. If we look at the last 6-month sales across the entire world, so that also impacts things. You can group by currency. If you sign in, you can also filter out things, but you can see that it's only been selling for $50 new. $50 new doesn't necessarily mean sealed. So looking back at that Keepa chart, that is lower than what we've seen here, but some people buy new without buying it with the box, so keep that in mind. The used is about 33, but if we look at the current items for sale, you can see someone's listed it for 300. I don't think it's ever going to go that high. Some people just like to put sets super high, and if they sell, great. If they don't, so be it. But they keep them on here really high as, future potential sales. Do I think it's going to reach this high? In my opinion, I don't really think so. It's just been out for so long, and it seems like a lot of people that have bought it already, or a lot of people that want it already have it. Just a couple things to keep in mind. But you can see there's a ton of new sets that are in that 70 and lower section. So there's a lot of inventory, I think, that we have to sort through before we can actually make a profit once this does retire. And lastly, I want to look at eBay sales. Typically, unless the set is really hard to find, you're not going to see eBay sales being much higher than MSRP. So here we can see it's selling at that 50 to 60 range in the last few days, actually. So I anticipate that this will continue to be the trend for a while as the sealed sets throughout the year. So, what are then my final thoughts on this? So here is my overall thoughts on this set. So here we have a ranking of what has an A, B, C, D, F. So A means it's really good, F of course means it's bad. Demand, I think, is probably a B. I think it's higher than a C. I've discussed that I don't particularly like the demand because I think there are so many people that have already bought it, if that makes sense. Um, but considering it sold 10,000 in the last month and just so many people have it, there's definitely high demand for this set. Its potential growth could also be a B because that little bit of it popping up to 110 when it was out of stock in 2023 definitely gives me a little bit of hope. Of course, that was only for a month or so. Um, but if you buy this at the right price, you have the potential, in my opinion, to double your money. Collectability is pretty solid for collectability. I actually could be, I'm going to move it up. Definitely high in the collectability. One, there's going to be more heads coming out, more helmets and busts. And it's Darth Vader. It is just such an iconic character. But where it struggles is that I think there's going to be an overabundance of supply. It's been out for a long time, and it just seems there's a lot of current listings for it, and it's rarely gone out of stock on Amazon. I've never seen it gone out of stock on Lego.com, any of those things, or I'm not even sure back ordered. Might have been when it first came out, but since it's been a pretty solid, easy to find set. The shelf life is not so great. I don't have a great understanding of what a good shelf life is. I know, a year or under is really good, but this is over 4 years, so this might even be in this section. I feel like it's hard to have sets that are out there for that long. Um, Discounts, I haven't seen many solid discounts, and of course, compared to the MSRP, Amazon's been having it um, around that $63-$65 range. Like, that's great to get on a discount, but if everybody's getting a discount, is it really a discount? So up until this point, I don't think this has been heavily discounted. I am hoping that, since it is retiring this year, maybe we'll be able to get some sets, to buy in of maybe 30 or 40. That way, I think a potential profit of doubling your money, of selling it at 60 to 80 is totally reasonable when it is currently unavailable to everybody else. So that's kind of my overall thought on this set. So I give it a B right now. Of course, I only have A, B, C, D, and F. Maybe this will change. But right now, I'd say it's fairly safe, but you really need to get in at the right buy-in price because it's going to be more challenging, especially if you sell on Amazon or eBay or any other platform that takes away fees. It's going to be really hard to try to double your money. I mostly sell locally, so I don't really have to take into account all of those extra fees. So it's a bit easier for me to think about the potential upside, but it takes a lot longer to sell typically compared to something you would list on eBay. Excuse me. But I also do sell on Whatnot. If you're interested in checking out Whatnot, I do sell on Bricklink as well. Sometimes I put sealed sets on there, but Whatnot is really great. I sell minifigures on there. I'm starting to sell like some sets and some bigger things. So check out the link in my description below and you can get $15 credit if you're new to the platform. But again, I just want to mention this is not financial advice, but this is a very in-depth analysis of all the things to consider if you're looking to invest in this Darth Vader helmet. And I hope you enjoyed my little analysis. I hope to do more, a lot more in the future, focusing on retired sets or retiring sets, so that I can kind of do some of the heavy lifting and you guys can make the decision on whether or not this is something you want to invest or resell in the future. So thank you guys for listening. I'm Brick Building Babe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.